Hi there, my name is Aaron Lanterman. I'm a professor of electrical and computer engineering at Georgia Tech. In a couple of previous videos, I've installed Magic and XChem with varying degrees of inelegance on my Mac M1 running Big Sur. In this video, I'm going to try installing the OpenPDK associated with SkyWater's 130 nanometer process. So the instructions are a little bit confusing. You don't want to click on install first. You first need to click on download, then you can do the stuff in the install instructions. So let's go to download, and it looks like we can get it from GitHub. So here's the line to get it from GitHub. So let's do that line to clone that repository. All right, now we can go to the install instructions, and there's lots of complicated stuff in here, but it looks like if we consider ourselves typical users, we can just do these 3 lines and that should work. Let's find out. All right, let's go into that OpenPDKs directory. Let's do that .configure line for the 130 nanometer process. All of this stuff looks like it was happy. So let's try make. This is going to take a while, so I'm going to speed this up. Oh, come on. Why can't stuff just work? Let's see. Sed command expects / followed by text. Oh, you know what? I've encountered this error before in another context. Okay, and let's see what else it's complaining about. Grep invalid option Z. Sed extra characters at the end of L command. Oh, and there is a whole lot of complaints along these lines. Oh, I can already tell this is going to be a massive pain. Am I the first person to try compiling this on macOS? Has everyone else just tried Linux? Oh, okay, so there's no complaints here. Where did the complaints begin? The complaints begin here. Complains about sed, and it complains about grep. Let's check the man page for grep. There is a Z argument, but it's capitalized. Maybe Linux is not careful about the capitalization, but macOS is? Oh, wait a minute. -Z says force grep to behave as zgrep. So why is it unhappy with the -Z? Let's man zgrep. File pattern searcher zgrep. What about zgrep? Let's see, but accept input files compressed with the compress facility. Now, does zgrep have to apply to a zipped file? Now, this is on BSD, or I guess macOS, which is based on BSD. What does this look like in Linux? Okay, let's look for -Z here. Oh, like the -Z or null option. Let's see, -Z is output is 0 byte. Oh, so this has nothing to do with compression. Output is 0 byte, the ASCII null character instead of the character that normally follows a file name. For example, -LZ, oh, that looks familiar. Outputs a 0 byte after each file name instead of the usual new line. This option makes the output unambiguous even in the presence of file names containing unusual characters like new lines. First of all, file names should not have new lines in them. My goodness. Oh, -z is something different. That's -- null data. Treat input and output data as sequences of lines, each terminated by a 0 byte character instead of a new line. Okay, so this -z is something that's different than the -Z that's in the macOS version of grep. Oh boy. Okay, so I just spent some time looking over this man page for the macOS version of grep, and I can't seem to find something that's quite exactly equivalent to that -- null data. There is this -- null, but that's doing something slightly different. So what I'm going to try to do is actually install the GNU version of grep and try using that. All right, I'm assuming you have Homebrew installed, so let's do brew install grep. Okay, all commands have been installed with the prefix G. You can add a path with that GNU bin, but I think I want to keep these straight. So we should have a grep now, and in fact we do. Can we look at the man page? Yeah, okay, so if we look at the man page here, we should be able to get that -z and that -lowercase z with that null data. Okay, so now we need to go change the references to grep to grep. Okay, so let's look for all of the places in this openpdks directory that uses grep. All right, so we have configure, get res, make file. Okay, so I'm going to take these 4 files and open them up in Visual Studio Code. Let's see, where do we use grep here? Looks like we only use it in this place, so I'll stick it here. And then similarly, we only use it here. Grep. Let's see, we're not using any fancy command line arguments here, so probably just using whatever the macOS grep will do. What about here? Grep options, grep report, grep.c. I think those are okay because we're not using any of those strange options. So I'm going to leave those 2 alone. But in here, we'll need to copy these lines and have the 2 versions. So we'll have the else version, and in the Mac version we run the G's, and similarly in the make file. Although actually, you know what? I bet we really only have to change it here if we're running the config command, because I think this make file will be created by configure from this makefile in. But for the purposes of getting this going, let me go ahead and make the same edit here. So we need fee, we need else, and then we'll copy these lines, paste them here, and the ones that run on the Mac are going to run this grep command. All right, so I think I really only made that change to 3 files, this getRes, this makefile, and this makefile.in. But as I said, I think we really need to only change makefile.in if we were to run configure again. All right, let's try running make again. Let's see, it doesn't like something about that line I added. Oh, I bet it wants some commands to continue the line. I bet it wants some of these backslashes. This bit in the makefile here. Oh, this looks more problematic. Wait a minute. This looks like it's all part of a sequence. So maybe I need to put some slashes here so it knows to continue it. Oh wait, there's a slash at the end of the line there. See, those 2 have slashes. Does this else also need a slash? Should I have to think about what I'm doing? I don't want to have to think about what I'm doing. So let's make the same changes, putting the same slashes into this makefile here just to be consistent. So I'll put a slash there and I'll put a slash here. All right, let's try that. Make unexpected end of file. Does it not like having a fee without a slash? Does it also want slashes on the fee? Again, I don't want to have to think about what I'm doing. Okay, let's try that. When in doubt, go back to first principles and think about what you're doing. So now it's complaining about sed, expects a backslash followed by text. Okay, this is a message that we had earlier. Let me think about this for a bit. Okay, apparently this is a known thing, and I have run across this before. And basically the solution is to find the places using sed-i, and then on Mac, you can add this empty string in single quotes after the -i, but this will only work on the macOS version and not on the Linux version, so we need some more operating system checks. Great. Okay, so there is a variable for sed that's set here, and we could do a check and download the GNU version of sed using Homebrew. I guess that would be gsed and switch in between. But I think we might as well use the Mac OS sed. You know what? It's happening right here just before this if statement. So we can actually pile that into this if statement. So we'll put it here, and we'll put it here. And then we can put this empty string in the double quotes here for this version of sed. And again, if we were to run configure again, I think this would be fine. But just to stay consistent, let me go ahead and change. Oh, wait, no, I did change the makefile. I need to change this makefile.in. Makefile.in is the important one to change. So for makefile.in, we'll put that line here with that empty string in the double quotes, and we'll move this line here. All right, how about that? Is it going to be happy with that? Let's see. Okay, it looks like the problem is happening somewhere else. Okay, I tried poking around a little bit with the camera off, and I put in this Echo Mac and Echo Linux, and it thinks I'm in Linux. But then I also noticed, oh, I should tell you, this is from what I get when I pipe the output of make to a text file, and this is that text file. Notice it just says S-type here instead of OS-type. So I'm not sure why, but I think I may need to put the OS-type here in curly braces like that, like it does everywhere else here. So let's do that at both of these and see if it's happier with that. Okay, let's pipe it to output again. Let's call this output 2. Oh, what is that? Okay, so it's still interpreting. Whoa, this goes away altogether. Okay, so I turned off the recording and spent about an hour fighting with this. I don't know why that OS type variable name wasn't working here, but it does seem to work if I replace it with this shell uname and compare it to Darwin. So that's running things properly now. But now I've run into another problem. So if we run my make command again, I discovered that sed itself is calling something with a Z option. And yep, look, there's sed-z. All right, so here's the GNU man page for sed. And if we scroll down a bit, we eventually will come to a -z. Null data, treat set of input lines, each terminated with a 0 byte. That sounds familiar. And of course, if we look at the sed man page in Mac OS, and we go down for a while, I bet you we don't find anything with a -z. All right. So it looks like we need to install the GNU version of sed. So let's do brew install sed. No formula found in taps. Oh wait, but there is a GNU-sed. Brew install GNU-sed. Is it happy with that? Okay, so how has that come up? It's been installed as gsed. All right, let's figure out which gsed we're using. So it's an opt homebrew bin gsed. So let me copy that. Let's paste that up here where we figure out what sed is. And let's find that line where we figure out if we're running in Darwin or not. Okay, so that's this line here. And let's scroll back up to the top. So if we are running the Darwin operating system, then we'll use gsed, else we'll use sed, ending with a phi. And we'll put one here, and we'll put one here, and we'll put one here. All right, so I'm going to take this whole structure. And again, I think we really only need this in makefile.in if we then run configure, because I think makefile is created from this, but I don't feel like rerunning configure again. Oh, yeah, it is created here. Oh, this is complicated because it's getting sed from somewhere else. Okay, you know what? Never mind. Forget all this junk. I'm going to engage in some bad programming practice. So this makefile is going to be recreated anyway. I'm going to go ahead and rerun configure. Let's go to makefile in, and what I'm going to do is find that place where we look for Darwin, and just because I really just don't want to deal with this anymore, I'm going to take this line where we actually run the Mac version, and I'm just going to paste gsed right in here. So there's GSED. Here's GSED right here. All right. I'll go ahead and leave the original sed in there. Although, coming full circle, if I'm running the GNU version of sed, I don't need that empty string and single quotes anymore. Fantastic. Sorry, I just went in circles there. Okay, let's go ahead and run that configure line again. Let's do a make clean, and then we'll do a make. Let's see, what are we complaining about now? Oh, it looks like something's trying to run magic and maybe ask it what version it is. Let's try that. Magic version. What? Wait a minute. So I just typed magic from the prompt, and magic did start up. But when I do magic -- version, it gives me this weird garbage about opt2, this incorrect thing that I've had previously. Why is it giving me that when I ask for -- version, but it's happy to run magic itself? Let me try that again. Okay, this isn't the fault of the OpenPDK setup. I somehow messed up installing my magic, so there's different versions of the magic executable, some that don't actually start X-quarts, and some of those appear to have some corruption problems. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this user local lib magic TCL folder, and I'm going to run otool-l on magic dnull. Oh, and it does have that messed up file in there. So let's try to clean that up. So this is probably not something that you'll need to do. Okay, in super user mode, let's run the install name tool on magic dnull, and we're going to use the -change option and change this jank directory to user local opt2 tk / libtk blah blah blah. Okay, and now if I do magic -- version, it is still not happy. What did I mess up? Oh, I needed a /lib in there. So let me run that line again. And what we'll do is we'll take the line I just typed in there. Okay, so it needs to be this TCL-TK, and there needs to be a /lib, and then the other stuff. All right. So we'll do this, and then we'll do /lib, and then / all of this stuff. Let's try that. -- version. And it gives me a version number. Yay, hallelujah. Okay, let me go back to my OCD directory, and let's go into my OpenPDK folder, and let's type make. Is it happy? It says done. Okay, let's try sudo make install. Is it happy? So apparently what you can do is poke around and find an xschem.rc file in a directory associated with a technology you want to use. I think what they want us to do is to create a new directory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an example directory. Let's call it Sky Example. What I'll do is I'll copy this xschem.rc from here. And there will be a bunch of these xschem.rc files floating around. So I'm going to copy it here. And now maybe I can launch xschem. Oh, and look at that. Let's see, can I zoom in? Yeah, all right. So I've got varactors, and I've got capacitors, I guess, and I've got PFETs and NFETs, and I've got resistors and diodes. Oh, it looks like I even have a PNP transistor. Do I get an NPN? I don't know, maybe not in this process. All right, so it looks like we're cooking with gas here. Shift-C, all right. So here's a whole bunch of stuff about SkyWater. Yeah. Yes, check all that out. Okay, so that was extraordinarily frustrating. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to go through that and come up with some sort of simplified version of that and maybe suggest it as a fix on the GitHub for the OpenPDK. And hopefully then maybe by the time you try to install this on your Macintosh, it will be a simpler process. In the meantime, I will go back and try to probably redo this on my older Intel Mac machine just to have a fresh computer to try this with, to try to present something more straightforward to do without all of the various wrong turns that I've made over the past 20 minutes or so. Well, 20 minutes edited. This has actually been about 3 or 4 hours of hammering at this. Okay, one little addendum. After poking around a bit, I discovered something interesting about the makefile here that was created. If you look at that sed path here, somehow it automatically figured out, once I actually had the GNU version of sed installed, it actually set that path correctly for sed. So what that tells me is that if we go in and edit this makefile here for the input, so I'm going to say code makefile in and edit that, what we can probably do is we can clean up that code here a little bit. Let's see, so instead of running gsed, I can go ahead and put sed here and sed here, because it looks like somewhere along the line it detected that I had that GNU version installed and set that appropriately. So this is a little bit nicer, I think. All right, and if I did that, then these two lines are actually the same. So I think I can pull this line out and put it up here. So we'll actually do that line before detecting the operating system. All right, but we still need to have that distinction in here. Now that we know this works, let me take out this Echo Mac and Echo Linux. All right, but let's double check that this does in fact actually work. Just to make sure that we are getting something new, what I'm going to do is I'm going to explicitly remove the makefile. All right, now let's go back up and let's run that configure line. Let's do make clean. Let's run make sure everything there still works and I didn't break anything with those changes. All right, and let's make install, sudo make install. All righty, it looks like it was happy. And whoops, earlier I didn't actually move xscheme.rc into Sky example. I actually moved it into the OCD directory and ran it from there. So let's move it to the Sky example directory just to be all official looking. And let's also type xscheme.rc correctly while we're at it. All right, so now let's try xschem and make sure that all of that cool looking stuff comes up. And in fact, it does. Woo!